Bucko, mighty Bucko, hello, and welcome, you people. I want to look at mind control, brainwashing, and then I want to do a very brief summary of the film The Manchurian Candidate. Now, some of us may have experienced firsthand a family member, maybe a relative or a close friend, someone that has got involved in a cult, or they're in a relationship with a man or a woman who is beginning to change the person you know, that you don't recognise them anymore. Now, some of us have had this experience. In a cult, a religious type of cult, there's usually a guru figure, and there's usually money involved. And of course, most of the slaves within the cult, they would more or less hand over their financial backing, as it were, to the cult leader, little by little. But at first they're love bombed. These are great people and they're all welcomed in, and at first things seem to be okay. They're very excited, they're very talking about the cult. And then things begin to change to such an extent, in the worst case scenario, you're cut off from this person. They don't want to hear it, they don't want to listen to it, what you've got to say. Or it could be, as I've said, they could be in a relationship that's just started, they've met someone, and then little by little the person begins to change the character, the personality. At first they listen to you, you have questions about the person, they listen, they answer, they speak, but little by little, as they side more and more with either the person, or if they're in a cult, they become more closed, more shut down, more unable to think rationally, critically, and more under the influence and the power and the authority of the person they're with, or the cult that they're with. And for the individual, if they're going into a cult, if they're in that group, you have to check your mind on the door that you're not thinking anything against the group. And of course, as I've said, the worst case scenario, the cult will tell the individual it's best to separate from these people, come away from them, and inevitably that can happen, and it can be devastating in the extreme for family, for friends, for loved ones. Now, I want to take a look at the 1962 film. It's going to be just brief, just skimming over things. But over the Christmas period, had opportunity to watch a few bits, and I watched this one, The Manchurian Candidate, 1962, starring Frank Sinatra, who actually, by the way, can be a very good actor. Yes, we all know him as a singer, but when you can watch the film, realising it's Frank Sinatra, but you're engrossed in the film and the character that he's playing, it shows he's a reasonably very good Times actor. Lawrence Harvey playing the brainwashed member of the platoon who has political connections through his mum and his stepdad. Angela Lansbury in a very good role for her. And of course, you've got Janet Leigh, who was the lady in the shower in Hitchcock's Psycho. And she plays a good part as well. So it's in my film guide, I looked it up, 5 out of 5 stars. And the remake, 2004, with Denzel Washington, gets 4 out of 5. Now, I've not seen the remake. I always like the original. I watched this, crisp, black and white, brilliant film. But it does cast some interesting insights on the brainwashing and mind control. It's a film on the Korean War, set in 50s, of a platoon captured by the North Koreans, and the communist Russians are involved as well in the brainwashing, and the Chinese. There's a company of about 14 taken captive and all brainwashed to such an extent, and I found this bit really fascinating, that they, in the film, were sitting on a stage thinking they were being addressed by a ladies' meeting on plants or something they were talking on, and they were all sitting there smiling. And in their minds, they saw them just as older ladies, American ladies in America, in some function they were invited to. But in reality, the high-up officials in the political communists, and they were all sitting there looking. And there was a quote, very interesting. One of the brainwashing people, he addresses the others and he says, "I'm sure you have all heard the old wives' tale that no hypnotised subject may be forced to do that which is repellent to his moral nature, whatever that may be." Nonsense, of course. And you see, they asked to do Lawrence Harvey to strangle someone and then shoot someone in the head, one of the soldiers. So 2 of the soldiers are killed. And he does it matter-of-factly, like, it's just having, pass me this or do that, and it's just obliging. And then they're returned to America, and they take their positions in life, and some of the platoon, they have these reoccurring dreams, Frank Sinatra, and things are not as they should be. And of course, Lawrence Harvey is programmed to assassinate a political figure. And the programming is triggered in this case by a phone call which gives the sentence, "Why don't you pass the time by playing a little solitaire?" And it's the cards. As he's turning the cards, when he comes to the Queen of Diamonds, he goes into that state and then another call comes telling him what to do, and he goes and does it. Now, they're trained to kill then, and have no memory of that which they've done. There was a part in the film as well where he goes off to deal with other people who could be dangerous to uncovering something. So he dispatches both of them in the same way. The callers come, and they're killed around the kitchen area, which has a black and white checkered Freemason style floor, which was interesting. So you would say, well, is this really possible? It's a film book. Oh, yes, it is a film. That's perfectly true. And we've seen similar things enacted out in various TV things, but this is it's an original, as it were, unique at that time period, worth having a watch. Now, I think without hesitation, the psychological people that are able to do these various programs of brainwashing. We know music people who are under the influence of mind control and handlers. And an illustration that we saw in around the summer of 23. Now, if you think of, for those who remember that incident, Mitch McConnell, the 80-odd-year-old American senator who was speaking to the media, and he was in natural flow with people standing around him. He suddenly, in the midst of the talk, well, this lady in green comes through the crowd, smiling, comes through, they part the way for her, she stands there and touches his hand in a certain way, and he freezes in mid-flow. Now, I have no hesitation in saying that is mind control. That is some form of programming. That's not just his age. That's what people would have us believe. Oh, I think they should retire. These old senators at that, the poor man isn't well. They should. It's nothing to do with that. And what's interesting and fascinating is that these people, they've allowed this publicly to come out. Now, I showed that to various people at work, and all of them thought it was extremely weird, whether they felt it was some form of brainwashing, mind control or not. But they all thought it was really weird. And of course, that's what that's what's being put across. And they don't seem unduly bothered, the powers, and they're coming out, whether it's a political thing, whether it's a news item, whether it's some big sporting event, Super Bowl or Olympics or Commonwealth Games, the occult, and all this stuff, these rituals are performed openly out there. In this case, he's put in this state of freezing. It's some form of brainwashing and mind control, no hesitation. Is it MK Ultra? Is it beta? Is it monarch programming? Is it some other form of programming? I don't know. But I'm convinced it's real. And take, for example, the murder of John Lennon. Well, most assassins, like the case with poor Jill Dando, you know, they clear off straight away. They don't hang about and have a cup of tea, do they? No, they don't. You know, but what did you find with Mark David Chapman? He's sitting down, reading a book, Catcher in the Rye. What? Well, and they have this glazed look in their eyes, don't they? You remember it when Lennon was shot at the Dakota Apartments in New York? So, worth taking a look. It's interesting. And so, yeah. I couldn't resist doing that. Be seeing you. Oh, I heard it through the grapevine. Now I'm just about to lose my mind. Honey, honey, yeah, bum, 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 bum. Let's hope none of us lose our mind in this coming, this new year, 2024, that we come out from all tinges of influence by evil government and these evil powers, and from people who may potentially be trying to control us. Be seeing you.